7 goodness, didn't it?
Something like that.
We will call this meeting to order. Regular city council meeting, city of Dalhart, Monday, July 11th. First item on the agenda is the prayer. You would bow your heads, please. Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here tonight. Ask that you just give us the wisdom and knowledge that we need, Lord, to make the best decisions for the city. Lord, I ask continued blessings over our first responders, Lord, over our military and our country. I ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
We stand as we recite the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the text. One state, under God, one and indivisible. Yeah.
First item on the agenda is the consent agenda consisting of the minutes from the regular meeting on June 27th, 2022.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 1, public comments. Kevin, did you want to go first?
Doesn't matter. You don't. I'm just here this evening just to give you a little update. I had kind of planned on being on the agenda tonight, but it got a little miscommunication, I guess, with between Melissa and Wendy or whoever, I don't know. But anyway, never got on the agenda, and that's fine because actually I don't have much to tell you except that we have had surveys done, and as we spoke at the last time I was here, for property that the city would be looking at giving to the Dalhart Education Foundation as well as to the hospital district to and what the Dalhart Education Foundation would be gifting to the hospital district to make all of that work. And so they have not sent me that the actual meets and bounds and boundary lines and that sort of thing for that yet. I'm supposed to receive them this week, so probably was a little premature to even be on the agenda. But I did want you to know that we are progressing in that regard and trying to expedite it as quickly as we can because we're already about $1 million into this thing behind on our financing due to interest rates hikes and that sort of thing. So every day it's costing everybody a little bit more money. So anyway, that's our plan. So I visited with the mayor today about perhaps a special meeting if we could prior to the next scheduled council meeting, and he's agreed to that, and you all are aware of that. So before then, by Friday, I think by the time that packet or whatever is sent out to you, I should have all that information so you can see exactly what we're talking about. Very good point that Dennis had last time concerning the sewer main that runs through there. It actually was through that property that we were proposing. So we've moved that back a few feet so that we're not on that line for sure. And I think there's maybe a couple other things, but anyway, when we get all that together, I'll be giving it to you so you can study and look at it before we meet again.
Dalhart Education Foundation agreed to.
And they actually have their meetings actually next Wednesday also, I think at noon, I believe, either Wednesday or Thursday. Jeff's out of town right now, but that's what he sent out prior to his leaving town. So it's going to kind of all fall together in a way that between the three entities, I guess we should have something solid to go on by that time. Any questions or anything? I don't know that I have any more answers, but I just wanted to kind of let you, so I told the mayor today, I probably or told Wendy when I came to visit with her, I'd just come in as an information period as a public comment. So there you go. Thank you very much.
Kevin. Kenzie?
Hello. Hope you all had a good week. Oh, wait, it's Monday. Oh, we had a great weekend. So I'm coming to you today to ask for letters of support for the Texas Main Street program. I've asked the EDC board to help out with that as well, and as well as some community members, business owners throughout town. So I was going to come to the city council and ask if y'all could do the same thing. I don't know if you want to know things to include in it. I have suggestions, but you don't have to take my suggestions. Do you like those? Okay. Your role in the community as a business owner, as a resident, city council member, why you believe the Texas Main Street program would be beneficial to Dalhart. Some things you hope to see come to fruition with the program. And then areas of opportunity to improve in the Main Street area. So you would not mind, I guess, sending those to me within the next week or so. That would be awesome. So I can include them with our application. We've been told that the more letters of support we have, that is like the magic juice for getting accepted. So if you wouldn't mind doing those, I have my business card here. If you need my email, I'll just go ahead and send out to you. Y'all can just email them to me whenever you get them. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm planning on having the application ready to present to y'all at the next meeting. And that way Stacy is here and she can have her input on it and everything. And then we'll shoot it on down to Austin and hopefully get accepted. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Mackenzie.
You're welcome.
Item number 2, discuss and act upon approving hardship deferment regarding street paving benefits, street paving payments for Gene Brazil.
Evening. I was just wanting to defer, or not defer, but just kind of cut it off for a little while until I can get on my feet. Things are pretty rough. I lost my husband 3 years ago, and I've been struggling trying to pay for that pavement. And also there's pictures, Wendy has pictures of, if you guys could please fix it for me. Curtis Green has been down there and he has worked on it 3 times. And what happens, all that water runs off of what is it, B Street, and it just runs down there and it just sits and it blocks my driveway. I can't pull my car in there. And I was just wondering also if I could get it kind of delayed a little bit.
So you're not asking to waive the payments, you just want them delayed.
Just delay them or waive them. It's up to you guys. If you'll see them pictures that Wendy has. Or I've got one on here. If you guys want to look at them. When it rains, snow melt,
Mhm.
this is what I have every time.
Dennis, do you know what our options are for that location?
No, but I don't think
Drainage.
Chris has the, another, we just, I know he just lays little drainage taken down that alleyway. You can look at it, I mean, there may be some, we could put a concrete type of gutter there,
Mhm.
taking it maybe another 100 feet out.
So the elevations there, it just needs to be,
Yeah, we'd have to elevate, get that spot.
The spot in front of my garage is really, really low. As you noticed, it's low. And when they come in there and told us that they were gonna fix it back like it was, because I had asphalt there in my driveway. And this was when Mr. Gonzalez was doing it. When I signed the contract, he said, we'll be in there. We're gonna fix it just like it was. And that's what they left me with.
you happen to have a copy of that contract?
And I don't.
Okay.
You guys should have it. Have you found it, Wendy? She hasn't found it.
But you do remember signing something.
Well, I remember signing something all, let's see, Royce Smith, I think, and then Jamie and Mike Jones. We all got together and talked about it, and then we went ahead and decided to sign it. as kind of a group.
Let us take a look at the drainage issue,
Okay,
see if there's anything we can do there, we'll try to get it addressed.
okay.
As far as the payments being deferred, does anybody have any comment or concern or questions on that?
Yeah. I don't think it's a wise decision. Because of the ramification of deferment and all of that, follow up, all those sort of things, and it could be like-minded. I know we can do it on a standard basis, but the question I have on this is is there interest?
Yes.
So this late payment,
Yeah,
so you have an interest contract.
that's what I understand, but where's the contract that you guys have?
So the interest payment that we're showing, the late charges on here, that would be just directly to,
The late charges that are on that, that's for her water bill.
so that's inclusive of that.
And then that goes on her water bill.
So if you're looking at the deferment of all that, what we have in front of us, that's inclusive of,
You're only deferring the $55 payment a month for the street paving solely. You're not deferring the late payment on her water bills.
yeah, but you should.
Yeah, that $55 charge, that's her monthly fee, that's the monthly bill for the street paving. Yeah. Yeah.
How would we go about this without setting the precedents? That this could happen to anybody and everybody could come in. I mean, I feel for her. I mean, she's struggling.
I'm struggling.
%. But as it coming back to set that we will have to do this. We will have to do this for everybody that asks after this point. Is there any other way around this that we could do this, resolve this without? Is there another way? There was comments made in the past in relationship to other areas that it's not necessarily that they mandatory to pay it. You just have the lien attached to it. So in a like manner, if it's just the $55 that they're talking about, she just takes that off the bill and then the cash value is still in place. And it's my understanding, what I was told, there was no ramifications of that. It's just that ends up being attached to the property for future things. So if there's no ramification, and I mean, we'd have to look into that, but that was what I was informed on a couple of different areas in the past.
So they don't acquire any late fees for not paying the 55. So if she just came in and said, I just need to pay my water bill, she doesn't acquire a late fee for the $55.
No, and the interest is included in the monthly payment, the way it's broke down. I believe I'll have to go back and look at the other contracts. Oh,
So the 55 includes the interest just
over
over
the
the
term of, from when it begins till the day it's paid off.
See, on some of them, there was no interest. You remember the last we did several,
Yeah.
couple of years back, that was in the writing of it, that it's just no interest. It was interest free. And so in the consideration of that is my concern, if you instigate a deferment, what's the follow-up on it in January, how it's instigated back? And Wendy explained you have to go through a process.
On Encode, if you stop those payments, can you stop so many, or do you have to stop them now and then go back in January and put it back on?
I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out my arrangements and contracts. I'm gonna have to go to class. I'm thinking we can probably add that portion of the bill to it. But we don't have the answer to that today.
But I make a recommendation to table it until we do more research by staff to see that we can get it into a compliable form.
So if I sell my house, you guys can take what I owe on it? Is that what I'm?
Is that right, Greg?
Like if I still owe 3,000 and something on it. if I sell the house within the next 3 months, what's left with the bill? You guys would automatically take that? Right.
Normally, it would be the buyer that would take.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of any situation where the city, so to speak, steps in,
Oh, okay.
the party that's buying
Okay.
your house.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
Is there not some sort of, so if we have to face this in the future, and I believe we probably could because just the cost of things and the way things are going up, is there not some sort of a indigency application or something we could do to start attaching some of those to this?
You know, what I remember best is basically where you had this, you know, let's say that it was valued at $10,000. Basically, we would defer payment for a period of time. But I don't think we ever gave up payment. It was just a matter of that we allowed them to pay. And then basically it was a situation where if we used our $10,000, you know, that we'd pay $100 more than usual down the road as it accrued.
Ginger, I was supposed to have it on this agenda, I think it got missed, so I'm doing the next agenda, but there is a water program. There's a contract we'll have to have the city sign to do it, and it is for low income families. And so if she meets that threshold, then, as long as you guys sign the contract, then she can apply for it. And that's all provided. You can take that class for contracts and stuff and then work with them on it. So I mean, there's that option that maybe instead of removing that or letting her defer on that payment, she can apply for that and see if it's what the sister on her bills.
So would that also help in possibly doing a restructure of her loan to saying like, okay, you know, maybe she does extend it out for a lower payment out to, you know, whatever, 2-3 months or something like that. Well, that if she doesn't qualify for that, is there options that we can look into? I guess is my biggest concern.
I'm not aware of anything that would allow beyond what we just said.
Any other discussion? Comments?
So there have been deferments in the past, though.
There have been deferments in the past.
So do we want to entertain a motion to table or do we want
I think with what they're learning in this next week, and then we'll know more information by what she was saying a while ago, that if we have a little more information on what we can do to help them better, maybe we just table it. And then maybe we can do something better than what we're just gonna do.
Okay.
To be right for everybody.
So now one concern she had was, it'll be on her next bill. By the time we have another meeting, it'll be on the next bill.
But she can still pay her water bill and exclude the 55.
Yes. As of no.
That's what I am understanding.
That's what I was
And,
understanding.
you understand, you just pay the water bill and,
Okay, so she doesn't
a lot of the,
face a disconnect or anything like that.
Well,
Because
she's been excluded from cutoff. If you notice on
Oh,
that
okay.
bill, it'll say exclude from cutoff.
Yeah.
She's been excluded from the cutoff, but the next month she'll still have the same situation because by the time comes back to council, then the new bills will already start to come out.
I know it's just $55, but I'm just struggling a little bit right now. You know,
Entertain a motion to table?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Brazil.
thank you guys.
Item number 3, consider and act upon removing a manufactured home located at 1103 Omaha Street. So.
This one is the mobile home that is owned by Dennis Wheeler. I just got off the phone with him. He just called me. He's not here to defend himself. supposedly he has it sold. He said that John King has the contract, but she talked to whoever was supposed to buy it last week and they didn't know anything about it.
We've been dealing with this issue since he
Year and a
brought
half.
in this mobile home. Prior to it being approved, he brought it in and I had gotten several complaints on it, the condition of it, as to why the city would allow him to bring in something like that. And I've added the pictures that I took last year. Those are all the pictures. And there's also pictures that I took last week. When I took the pictures, the first pictures last year of the conditions of this mobile home, he had stated he was gonna fix it. It wasn't skirted, nothing was done to it. So he just kept working on it, I guess, whenever he had time. Still getting complaints, it was not skirted. Mind you, when you do get approved, you do have 2 months to skirt your manufactured home. It still had not been skirted. He didn't skirt it until April of this year. Because I went again and had to speak to him about this. I had to constantly be telling him, and he always said he had renters. They're gonna move in 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks, he's been saying that since last year.
Yeah, we've been doing a year and a half on this one.
I actually have the notice that I sent him back in February, once I came back to work, because I had taken a leave of absence and I just picked up where I needed the areas that we needed to work on, and manufactured homes was one of them, and this one as well. Since it's been unoccupied, it does have to be occupied within 6 months. So right there, he's in violation with the zoning ordinances as well. So,
Mayor, I'd like to ask, has there been any citation or notifications?
well, yes, I did send him a notice back in February. And I sent him one to the Dalhart residents and to the New Mexico residents that he has over there. This was back in February.
Or has anything proceeded to the municipal court?
No, and the only reason when we would discuss this is because I did have to issue a violation for that property, not this mobile home, but for another mobile home on this property. So when he was summoned to court, I asked him about, well, what about the double wide? We've talked about this since last year. And he said, oh, it's rented out in 2 weeks. Well, it's always 2 weeks, and that was back in April when he was summoned to court. But still, it continues to be enough.
I might ask a question in relationship to non-compliant, the removal of the special use. Is there a process for that? Because they have to be in compliance for the special use also.
It is stated in the planning and zoning, in the ordinance, what's required for the property owner when he does bring in that mobile home. It specifically states on there, it has to be occupied within 6 months.
And we tell them when they,
We
Sure,
also
for the-
tell them before they go to planning and zoning, we discuss all of these things with them. And they agree with that. So this is why this is becoming an issue, because I constantly get the complaints in my office. So
In the next statement that you made, that he is possibly trying to sell it.
he has said when I spoke to him last week, because he saw me taking pictures of his, the mobile home. And he pulled up, he said, well, it's in the process of being sold. And I said, well, you just told me in April that you were gonna rent it out. When were you gonna sell this? And he said, oh, it's been sold since last year. And I said, well, even if it's sold, the person who's gonna buy this property has to rezone it again under their name.
That was my next question.
Yes.
In the
So I told him this. So whoever does, I mean, if they did buy it, it would still have to get rezoned. But he had the person on the phone and he spoke Spanish. So I was speaking to him and I asked him, when was this discussion made? When y'all, that y'all agreed that you were gonna buy the property? He said, that was 3 months ago. So right there, he said it was last year. And then this person told me it was 3 months. So I'm like, So he didn't know that he had a deal. So I just think Mr. Wheeler is just trying to buy time, I guess. I don't know, but it's becoming a bit irritating only because of the complaints that we get. I'm sorry. That's why.
If I may,
Were these letters certified?
These letters aren't certified. These are just notices. They're not, it's not a certified letter. This is just to tell them, you know, this is what we required. And also, we do work with them. You know, if they do call me, you know, or Paul, they'll come into the office and we'll discuss what the issues are. And more than likely, they all work with us. You know, I've had several people come in
And we
already.
have tried.
And we have definitely tried and definitely tried.
so do you have a consensus of what, direction y'all would like to see it go?
Well, we just think, you know, as far as other property owners that brought in manufactured homes, the conditions are new or as new. And people in the past,
Condition
yes.
of the pictures that he brought us originally.
people that have, you know, come before y'all, you know, with their mobile homes, way better condition than this was. I mean, they would get approved, but I mean, there was also conditions with those. So we just figure, why should he continue to have this here? And he brought it in like that, working on it, and it's almost 2 years now.
So would you consider it new or light new at this point, the exterior of the home?
It's,
Exterior, yes.
yes,
Right.
but he's still working on the inside. So he barely put utilities last month.
Yes, finally got water,
He finally got water
electric and
and
gas.
gas on it.
Installation permit, you have not issued an occupancy permit.
No, we have
No.
not.
No,
It's never been finished to do the final one.
yeah, we haven't inspected it. We haven't done anything because it's not completely, I guess, fixed. So,
Or would you want to be looking at the avenue of, financial restitution directed toward him to instigate it? Or would you more be inclined just to cut our losses and make him remove it?
well, I mean, he is in violation, and like I stated earlier, it is in the conditions as far as planning and zoning. So Paul and I were thinking, with working with Mr. Wheeler and explaining to him, since last year, these issues, Paul and I just thought that we should just have him take it out. Because that is what it is.
You did not issue him a citation?
Not on this yet. I've issued him a citation on this property, but a different trailer he has on there.
One on first down.
Not the one we're talking about.
No, but when he came in for that citation in April, it was
was
discussed
discussed.
in there.
In the
And-
judge's chamber.
Had no course of actions of going through the court.
I'm sorry?
Had no course of action. of-
Not yet. That's why we wanted to come, to bring it to council to see, how we can go about going for this. And, you know, again, he is in violation.
So what would you have to revoke? The complete, special use, the
Yes, sir.
installation permit,
Yes, sir. And I would have to issue a citation
and
for being in violation.
and would that be a
Citation.
one thing, or would it be would you attach it to a time factor? I know that would be the courts. I understand that, the amount, but you know, a daily fine, you know how some of those things go. To fall in compliance.
Right. So he would, I mean, like when I spoke to Mr. Wheeler last week, I did tell him, you know, there is going to be a citation that will be issued, you know, in regards to this property, because I've constantly trying to talk to you, trying to work with you, and nothing's getting done. So he is aware that, you know, we were going to come here because I did tell him I was going to put it on the agenda as well.
You do have a procedure to follow
Yes,
in vacating.
yes.
I will entertain a motion when you're ready, Mayor.
Any other discussion or concerns?
I do. I have some huge concerns that this did not go before the court first. There has to be a process every single time that we bring something into town. And if there is a violation of any ordinance or not having it skirted or any of those issues, it is y'all's job to go out there and issue the citations before it comes to this, to the.
Well, the reason that we brought it to council is because council approved it. And I wanted, you know, to bring those concerns, you know, before I did this. I did mention to Mr. Wheeler, there will be citations issued, you know, because there's been several citations issued, not just on, you know, for this one, several of its properties as well.
I just think from the legality side of this, my huge concern is that this has had no action taken on it through, we've not had any, no citations were issued. It has not been through the court. I mean, I would ask Greg, what would a standard procedure of this include? I mean, if we were going to even work towards like even an abatement or removal, don't we have to have some kind of process to this?
Well, that's what we're wanting is your direction where we need to go
Yes,
with this.
because in our
This has been a
ordinance,
year and a half on this.
Due diligence on, is there not a procedure that you guys have in place already?
well,
Yes.
actually, this,
Citation wasn't issued, right?
okay, but what I'm saying is, this is the first time we're gonna do this. This is why we need advice from council on how to proceed, only because I am gonna issue the citation, but we just need approval of how we go about doing this, because, you know, we've never done this before.
There was,
That is why.
excuse me,
Yes.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Mr. Smith.
There is the example of action taken by council in the past in relationship to the special use permit. And that would be, you all will remember the property on Jefferson, that we had the truck, special use for truck, and, that procedure is in place that you can follow up on the special use. The other stuff of it is non-compliance for the special use. Now, the installation side is the skirting is more so on the installation side.
Yes.
So in non-compliance of the special use permit, that's just a done deal. I mean, that's just simple thing. You lose it. And that is in relationship to almost, you will refer to the trucking ones, especially that if you had to stay in compliance of the property to maintain, so the parking area and all of that, or you lost it on the yearly inspection. So it is the same process on the special use permit. And so then on the citation side of it, it would be more so on the first opportunity would be in the skirting issue. Non-compliance on that thing, which is a point direct, no matter what condition the house is, brand new, you know, whatever it is,
Starting that has to be,
that would be the first.
yes, the installation.
I've been trying to remember, did I use a different term than citation?
Violation, complaint.
Okay.
So what's the process if you just have an empty mobile home in town and nobody's living in it for 6 months? What
Well,
from there?
I went ahead and sent them letters as well. And that's what I was working on as soon as I came
We have
back
a
to
couple
work.
more.
So then when you issue out a letter to them and you don't get a response, then what happens from there?
Then I would have to go ahead and proceed as far as sending them a citation to summons them to court to speak to this.
Then they come into the court and then
We discuss, yes, ma'am.
what happens if there's no remedy through the court?
Well, then this is where we would have to take it again, you know, to council over here, because we would have to take further action as far as having them remove it. But it does say a mobile home cannot be unoccupied for 6 months. It does say that.
Well, shouldn't he just be issued violations for all the violations that he's committed at this point and be issued those tomorrow? And those go to the court? And then we have a record that we have started the process?
And then put it. on
And
the
then-
council's agenda.
And then once it has been resolved or not resolved, it will come back to us and then we will act upon it.
Yes, sir, but like I
It's
said,
the same thing. I mean, giving him an extension if he gets it done.
that's what we're doing.
Well,
That's basically what that means.
if he doesn't do it by what the citations, by the time limit, the citation, what will be the judge is here.
Court appearance.
Let's ask her how that works.
issues a complaint violation. He comes in and pays on it, pays it. I'm done with that. You know, I can tell him to put it in compliance in 2 weeks. But that violation that's written, he pays it. I'm done with it. That's it.
So
Okay.
didn't we hear from you guys a couple of weeks back about implementing a program of step one, if they pay it, step two, they're not going to just come in and pay it. They have to come in and remedy as well.
Yes, but when we did come for that, it was more in regards to like trash, debris.
They're all violations.
Yes, they are all violations, but this is just, I guess this is more highly, we don't know how to approach it.
We've never had a trailer house.
Yes, we've never had to approach this, or I've never had to.
So, but like, and then we go back to what you said, he has not met his commitments that gives us the ground to stand on, that he would have to remove it because he did not commit it in the time limit that was allotted.
Then you look at the fact he's a repeat
And I keep
there.
talking to him and constantly trying to work with Mr. Wheeler since last year. You know, just keep on asking him and, you know, he was issued a violation last year in regards to a property that he has on 10th Street. That day too, I discussed that mobile home again with him. He said, it's gonna be rented in 2 weeks. It's always 2 weeks. So this is finally now, it's like Mr. Wheeler, you know, complaints are still coming in. We're gonna have to do something about this now.
So would you construe that if we did the citation route, that would be extending an extension to him? Is that what you're implying?
Well, if he pays it,
But, and so that would start the whole process over again on the,
But I think it's up to the court to put stipulations. I'm just saying.
Can we do that, Rhonda?
Yes.
Does that have to come through us to say that? Or can you do that?
I can give him, if he says he needs 30 days to do it, I can give him 30 days. If he doesn't do it, we're right back here.
I mean, but the citation has been issued and then, okay.
He's like, he needs to pay the fine.
So besides these letters, what, I mean, I know you guys have talked to them, but what proof have we in our files or whatever said, hey, I mean, in my business, I have to have something documented saying, I have contacted this guy. This is what I've told him.
the only thing I can,
Is this all we have?
well, the only thing I can say, Sherry, is that I've verbally spoken to him. And Judge Reyna was there when I would speak to him in regards to these issues. So that's what I have right there.
if I may, on the consideration, there are several properties that the council has issued special use permits. They never have followed through on anything. And I believe there's guidelines in place that you have to have some type of activity within this time frame. And what we're looking at now is just not a little bit of one location. You could probably have a long list of, I know 4 or 5, that they are still on the books as special use. And on our zoning map as special use, and we haven't updated that sort of thing. So it's a little bit more in depth on this, on the action that we're taking at this time. Of once again, setting some type of precedence of moving forward on other issues that are not in direct relationship to. And my biggest thing leaning on of it is the special use because of the fingers that come out from that for the other properties in Dalhart, which we are going to have to address eventually.
So who monitors the special use properties that are not followed up on?
If my understanding on the different types of it, you have like a yearly inspection on, I was informed on, especially on the truck when we went through that, was a year, you had a yearly inspection.
Yes, and the code department is responsible for that.
Bill sheet for the inspection of the property. And probably in relationship to the timelines in place on the ordinances, you know, such as the skirting
Yes, sir.
After, if it pops up on your computer, 60 days is.
That's where we go.
You need to go.
We have to address the issue.
There is a procedure in place that way.
But we have some that you have said that are not followed up.
Yeah, well, I don't know in relationship, that is in the particular topic that it was addressed to me personally when I was dealing with the special use permit. Okay, I don't know if it's different from the trucking versus the other ones. That's y'all's.
Yeah, once the mobile homes are set, then we're done.
And we've done the inspections and things like that. It's, they get their certificate of occupancy. and-
That name of the special use, and then you put the tag on it with the intent of what they're gonna do with it. But the actual special use is what it's for. Like,
Right.
in this case, you put.
Manufactured home. Yes, sir.
And if we had one that when we change in a little bit other area, it would be, all right, we get to put up this building, storage building, but it's still a special use and have to meet the criteria of the special use, not what the actual use that it did.
Yes.
Our options right now are move it or finding
And
They-
probably,
legal deal. That's our two options right now. Correct?
I'll still entertain a motion.
What's your motion?
What's your motion?
Entertain a motion that we remove the property and rescind the special use and mobile home installation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Item number 4, consider an act upon granting an extension for a mobile home installation at 1903 East 13th Street.
hi, this is Mr. Martinez. He is the property owner of the mobile home, yes, on 13th Street. I was not here when he was approved back in December to bring in this mobile home, and I was not aware of the stipulations in regard to what was needed to be done. Last week, we went over the minutes, we were looking at them, and it did specifically say that he needed to have everything stuccoed or brick or whatever things that he was gonna do within a 6 months period. I spoke to Mr. Martinez, I'm sorry, and we did. I told him, weather, supplies, materials, those were all issues and factors in this. So I told him, as long as you try to get all that done, everything will be fine. I said, but you do got 6 months that it has to be occupied when he came into the office, because I called him into the office. Right after that, that's when Melissa started leaving emails about what's gonna happen on 13th Street. And I'm like, well, I'm working on that, And again, Mr. Martinez came into my office. I had a meeting with them, telling them what concerns the city had, city manager or interim city manager. And this is what we're looking at, and I said, you specifically did state on there that you would have it done in 6 months. But again, Mr. Martinez said that, weather and, materials, finding someone to do the stucco work was also very hard. Also in that council meeting, when he was approved, Mr. Smith, you did state that, weather should not dictate, the process of fixing this property. So Mr. Martinez is here, because he's asking for an extension. Cause he started already working on it. He's already doing all the stucco, but he's here to ask for an extension, from the council.
If I'm not making comments that time, excuse me, Brian, in relationship to that, the extension, the comments came up, but it's not directly in minutes. It's probably, we looked at the tape. It would be there. The discussion was at that time, if you showed good intent of actions with weather conditions and all that, you saw a progressive stance, an extension wouldn't be considered. Up to this point, there has not been any good intent on completing the job. So that was just the only, yes, ma'am.
It's a differ. I live right across the street from him, and my kitchen window, I look right across at his mobile, And it's, in the last 2 or 3 days, they've been out there working and they made a lot of progress in the last.
Prior to that,
So,
has there been much activity going on?
there was a little lull.
There was,
Now they're on it.
there was, nothing take place until 1 month ago when they started to skirt it, which still has not been completed in the skirting. Until the fine part of the end of this deal that the contract was that to be done by 6 months. It's actually going on 7 months if you give them 2 more days.
We have had crazy weather. Like, we're still cleaning up our yard.
Very mild winter and skirting can be put on a lot of times. And I live on that side of town. I drive by that home every day. And it says on here that it would be completed by the end of the 6 months. There was also where the council, that trailer was not new or like new when it was brought in here. It had its issues, it had its problems. We made the exception sitting here that night to give this man a chance. He says, I will have it done. I will have a roof over it. It will be completed in 6 months. That, I was on here that night and I was the one that said that it is 6 months time limit. I was here that night and I said that. So I'll let the gentleman speak here and say his piece. But
In relation of the weather, you guys know from December all the way to April, it was cold. And it's hard to lay concrete, especially stucco. It's not gonna stay on. And then it's, like I said, I called a few companies, they said they're booked until next year. So I have to do it myself. At the time you saying it was no progress on the trailer, I have to replace all the sewer lines, all the water lines because they were broke. So I could do it under. So that's why like you said, last month, that's when it started skirting. But when I was here, I don't remember, probably you guys mentioned it, that I have to skirt in the first 2 months. If you guys will mention that, I would just do it right away. Because I already bought the tent by that time.
code should tell you that.
Well, I'm sorry, but she wasn't here.
Paul was here at that time. You were told.
Okay, so like I said, I didn't know. When she called me the first time, I told her, you know what, I'm gonna try to get it done. But right now, the way I see it, I start putting the stucco. If I put the skirting, I have to remove it again to be able to because as soon as I remove the old tent, I'm putting wood, brand new wood on the back, and then the paper and the chicken wire. So to this point, it's like, I don't need to put the skirting.
You have to stucco up before you put a roof over the top of it. Like you said, you were gonna.
Well, the roof is not gonna sit on top of the.
That's why I'm saying, the roof could have been built with the.
The roof, like I said, I'm trying to call people. They say they're busy. They're booked until almost at the end of the year. So that's why I'm here to get an extension, just to put stucco. And then I don't know how much time I could get to do the roof.
So you're saying it could take another 6 months to a year to finish the house, is what you're just saying, because they're booked till the end of the year.
No, sorry, because we probably 3 months because I could do the stucco, but not the roof. As soon as I found someone to do the roof, I could give him the job right away. Even when Code called me last Friday and I went to her office, I told her, if you find me someone who do the stucco today, I will give them the job right away. And
I did call several contractors and no one they said they've been booked since the beginning of this year. So, I mean, I'm just trying to help Mr. Martinez. Again, I was not here last year because I was in Albuquerque with my husband. But I am the one Melissa did bring this to me. That's why I am here.
So did you find a roofer?
not yet, not yet.
So, I mean, we're still in the same situation. We gotta figure out how in 3 months you're gonna get it done. You don't.
Well, if I have to do it myself, I could do it myself.
So are you asking the 3 months altogether for the extension, or is this a 30-day, or what kind of extension?
If you guys give me 90 days, will be 3 months. I will finish the stucco, and I'm gonna try to finish the roof that we spoke last time I was here.
Any other discussion?
Well, I go back to the same
discussion that we've had on the other topic, citations or the notifications at the end of the 6-month period or prior are, and I understand the circumstances, and we discussed this at that time. One of the reasons that I stepped out to say that what you wanted to do and why we came back on it. Because it's understandable that your intent is to pull the skin completely off from it.
That's what I'm doing right now.
I understand.
Want me to, I can send you pictures?
Picture, so, but when you, it still needed the skirting under it. So there are those timelines, no matter what, it was inclusive because you're gonna have to take that off too, when you get down to it, it's how you're doing it. But the point of it is there was still no checks and balances. Is that the right diplomatic word?
That's probably the biggest issue.
Because with addressing the good intent, noticeable good intent in that time frame, cold weather or not, whatever it is, it's still that it should have been able to be seen by people driving by and the code department, you know, and it's just one of those things, you know, it's just that still have not taken persuasive action on another piece of property in the timeline allowed.
And let me ask this one question. If we gave you 90 days, you had it almost completely done, 90 days. I mean, stucco, the roof, everything but the last post in.
For the past
Did you complete it?
I will complete it in 90 days, and I'll come back again, I'll show you my pictures. I'll pull it out, but you guys need to give me some window of time,
We're giving you,
because I'm gonna do it myself.
Okay.
At this point, I have to do it myself. I still have a job.
I know,
I work every day,
no,
and I work 12 hours a day. So basically, I'm gonna do it on my weekends off. So, and I'm off every other weekend.
okay. How does council feel about extending it? Or do we have it removed? That's where we're at this
If
point right
you're-
now.
In my opinion, if you consider extending it, very hard point exceptions applied to that. It have to be followed in a timely manner. That's what we presented this on, was an exception which is allowable by council.
And I agree with that. I mean, I think setting a time frame, no, after 91 days, 93 days, it's gonna have to be the 90 days.
You go over there,
That's
you're
what I'm
driving by
looking for.
Okay,
in 2 weeks.
yes, sir.
You have a 2-week, something that needs to be done in that 2-week period.
I do go back and
I
check.
understand that. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you're out doing your patrol, driving around and you drive by and you know that there is a timeline to have something accomplished.
Mhm.
By exception, very definitive, no misunderstanding what has to be done. You drive by, it's not done in that 2-week time frame. 3 months, then that game's over.
Yes, it is.
But you're gonna have to put that in as an exception very distinctly, so everybody knows and understands. We have the situation here. I did not know that it was supposed to be started in 60 days. It's on the paperwork. And code has
It's also on,
been.
it's on the planning and zoning. It is stated on there as one of the ordinance.
It's my understanding, y'all have been presenting that to them.
Yes. We specifically, when someone comes in for a special use permit, bringing in a manufactured home, we do discuss with them concerns, questions that council will have in regards to a used mobile home. But for me, when they bring me something and I see it and I said, no, I won't even let you apply for a special use permit because they're not gonna accept this. So there are conditions that we do. Also, once that we see what they're bringing or wanting to bring into the city, that's when we discuss what's required once it is approved.
And also the driveways,
Well, now we're discussing driveways,
have to have driveways.
that ordinance.
All the vehicles are parked, cannot be parked in the front yard.
Yes, sir. And that is what we are discussing. And Paul and I, we were just talking about this last week. You know, so there's a lot of things that we are working on.
We have hard copy and bilingual.
Not yet. We do need to have it in bilingual as well.
So as to follow up with that, did Mr. Martinez ever receive anything in writing that said these are the rules and this is what you need to be in.
When he came into the office, I spoke to him about that.
So did you?
So that's verbal right there. And Paul was there with me in my office.
So, but I, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm just speaking for myself, but I am a firm believer if something is not in writing, it probably doesn't happen. And so just as a council member, I, moving forward, would like to see your department issue out some kind of formal written step-by-step procedure for each one. And I would like for that person who's coming in with a mobile home, you know, saying, I understand the rules. I know that it has
So I'm sorry,
to sign off on it.
what you're asking is like a checklist.
Absolutely. And I think we've been asking,
Okay. And you know what? I think that is a great idea. I think that's what we need to start implementing. And I think Paul and I, once I come back from vacation, because I'm taking vacation this week, we'll start working on that.
In direct relationship to each section of the,
Yes, sir.
you know, you've got several that you have to comply to, even down to the plumbing, electrical and all of that. It's all got to be.
should be some sort of a packet or something.
1 for 12.
Let's get back to Mr. Martinez's issue.
Yes, sir.
I want to make a motion that we allot Mr. Martinez 90 days to completely 100% finish the home
With the certificate of occupancy, yes.
with the certificate of occupancy, yes, and it not lived in until that moment when it's done. And
Yes, sir.
it's done.
And I will be following up on this as well.
There won't be another weather, no nothing. This is, you live with, if it's bad, it's cold, it's hot, it needs to be finished or it doesn't stay there. I mean, there's been a lot of, they're building houses out here that are built in 3 days, 4 days, you know, I mean.
Yeah, but it's a big company.
I know it is. I know it is.
Company who builds those properties.
I want to see you finish this house. I don't want to see you drag it out. I want you to finish it. Okay?
So you mentioned, you mentioned you want to move the trailer out.
If we
That's what you
can,
mentioned right now, sir.
no, I'm mentioning to give you 90 days.
Oh, well.
They're giving you the extension for
Okay.
90 days and
days. And when I come back, I would just close everything this case.
Yeah, 90 days, you're done.
Please.
It's complete.
I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna work every other weekend.
We haven't voted on it yet, but we still have to finish voting on this. But that's what I'm saying. You understand what that means.
Yes, sir.
Could I ask that maybe he comes back with his progress in 30 days, 60 days? So that way we can see that there's progress. And so by the 90 days, you know, we have a valid answer that yes, it needs to go.
yes, we'll follow up on it and I will bring pictures and, you know, things like that.
Mr. Martinez, we're gonna, if we can get a second, we'll vote.
Second.
Tonight, we have a second.
Yes, I'll take them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So essentially what that means is 90 days, you have your extension, but if the work's not complete in 90 days, the trailer has to come out. One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Checklist and all the things, the requirements that you have. I think that would be great for him to have that. So he's aware of everything.
Did y'all get that for him?
I will go ahead and work on that, Mayor, once I come back. Paul and I will.
You state,
And I will also issue it to y'all as well, so you can see what I've come up with. And, you know, maybe it'll be to y'all's approval. Okay?
You do it. I know you can. I know you can.
Thank you.
Have faith in you.
All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Agenda items for city council.
Like to add to the agenda to follow up with the code enforcement packet for mobile home procedures.
Maybe a formal process for if they're not compliant.
Yeah.
This is what we do the first time, and this is what we do the second time.
Anything else? No problem. Thank you. Item number 6, comments from department heads. Interim city manager.
Anybody left?
I caught wind late this afternoon that the forest is not there late, it's the electrical part is taken care of. We'll do his first run tonight. You know, he's going that. That's good.
Good.
That's good. Almost in time for XIT.
Yes.
I was gonna say,
Did I get a green up by then? This potent water right here, isn't it?
Pretty close. My house is back.
Moving the bar. gonna be between the softball fields.
Anything else, Dennis?
I think I'll be on vacation that afternoon when Stacy gets here, so I won't get to see her for about a week.
Everybody's leaving on vacation.
It's the season.
It's the season.
Yeah.
Chief, you got anything?
I'm not going on vacation.
I'll be here with you. I'll be here with you, Lloyd.
I'm good.
All right.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?